stop what you're doing right now, because 99% of people holding XRP don't have nearly enough to secure their financial future. Today, we're finally settling the debate once and for all. Is 500 XRP truly sufficient to transform your life forever, or do you need more? Welcome back to the channel. For years, the XRP community has been operating in complete darkness, drowning in speculation and rumors. But recently, that silence was shattered by an insider named Bird, a developer working directly on the XRP Ledger. This isn't just another analyst throwing out random price predictions with charts. This is someone who sees the actual code and the literal infrastructure being constructed behind closed doors. Before we dive deep into these numbers, smash that like button right now, drop your current XRP holdings in the comments below, and subscribe for more XRP content. You're going to want to hear every single word of what's coming. Looking at the data we have here, we can see the XRP to BTC ratio reaching a historical bottleneck. The blue line on this chart represents a massive price discovery phase that's expected as XRP breaks out of its multi-year wedge pattern against Bitcoin. This suggests a monumental shift in capital flowing directly towards the XRP ledger. Bird's perspective completely shifts the entire conversation from if to how much. He's suggesting that the long-term weight suppressing this asset's price is finally lifting. He's pointing toward a reality where the technical foundation is finally ready to support the massive valuation targets that so many people dismissed as impossible pipe dreams. Here's what you need to understand. We are at the end of a 7 to 8 year suppression of XRP. The technical analysis and the fundamental developments are finally aligning for an absolutely massive breakout. This alignment is exactly what we've been waiting for. It suggests that the price you see on your screen today is a temporary anomaly, a coiled spring that's ready to explode. If you're feeling the pressure of this market and the volatility that comes with it, you need to understand that real-time alerts on these major movements are available completely free in our Discord community. We track whale movements and technical shifts the second they happen, giving you the edge you need. This visualization highlights the 2026 technical inflection point. Notice the convergence of liquidity and volume at the $2.70 level. This marks the critical threshold for the next major leg up in the current market cycle. The engineering reality of the XRP ledger is that it was specifically designed for high-value settlement, and that design is about to meet explosive global demand. We are moving from a period of passive observation into an active phase of revelation, where the smallest holders might witness the biggest surprises of their lives. So the burning question remains, is 500 XRP all you need to completely change your life? While whales are typically defined by holdings in the millions of tokens, for the average retail investor, the 500 token tier represents a massive strategic entry point into the future of global finance. This specific amount is often the first major goal for people starting their XRP accumulation journey, yet its potential impact is constantly underestimated by those who get distracted by short-term volatility and daily price swings. Make sure you're still locked in here, because what I'm about to show you will blow your mind. If you're getting value so far, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me your XRP accumulation goal. This chart displays the purchasing power of 500 XRP measured against traditional fiat currencies. As global inflation continuously erodes the value of the dollar, the fixed supply of XRP allows those 500 tokens to potentially command a significantly larger share of the global settlement market over the next decade. At current market rates, 500 XRP is still an accessible target for most people, but its true power lies in the mathematics of utility. When the XRP ledger begins handling even just a small fraction of the world's cross-border payment volume, liquidity requirements will force the price into an entirely new bracket where even a modest bag carries substantial weight. The 500 XRP holder is the backbone of the decentralized future, representing a group that's already ahead of the vast majority of the global population who have zero exposure to digital assets whatsoever. Listen to this quote from industry experts. Not owning at least 1,000 XRP is the definition of insanity given where this technology is heading. This sentiment highlights the growing urgency within the community. The window to secure even a few hundred tokens at these current price levels is rapidly closing as institutional demand through new spot ETFs begins to absorb the available supply on centralized exchanges. As we progress through 2026, the retail squeeze is becoming a documented phenomenon where the cost of entry for larger positions is moving completely out of reach for the average worker. Here we can analyze the portfolio transformation data. At a $10 price target, 500 XRP becomes a $5,000 liquidity reserve. At $100 per token, that same small holding evolves into a $50,000 capital base. This demonstrates the massive leverage available to early retail accumulators who position themselves correctly. If you're sitting on a 500 XRP stack today, you are not just a spectator watching from the sidelines, you are an active participant in a system that's designed to replace the aging SWIFT network. The focus shouldn't be on the dollar value displayed on your screen today, but rather on the percentage of the network that you own before the masses arrive and the real price discovery phase begins in earnest. Crossing the four-figure threshold fundamentally changes your psychological relationship with this market. It transforms a speculative bet into a serious financial hedge. At 1000 XRP, you are no longer just testing the waters. You've secured a stake that many analysts believe mirrors holding a full Bitcoin back in 2012. This is the milestone where the genius label begins to apply, because you've successfully accumulated a position that places you in the top 20% of all XRP holders globally. Before we continue, smash that like button, comment below with how many XRP you're targeting, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on for more content like this. This top 20 holder chart illustrates the current wallet distribution across the XRP ledger. By holding 1000 XRP, you've already outpaced 80% of the entire network, positioning yourself to benefit disproportionately as institutional liquidity flows into the ecosystem's top tier. The narrative around small holdings is a trap designed to keep retail investors from recognizing their true leverage in this market. When you examine the technical architecture being deployed throughout 2026, 1000 XRP represents a significant unit of value that can be utilized within the ledger's native features. As the world transitions toward tokenized assets, your 1000 tokens act as a bridge, a liquid asset that functions more effectively than any traditional bank account ever could. Holding XRP is fundamentally smarter than keeping cash in a bank, because a bank's value is designed to leak through inflation, while XRP is specifically designed for settlement and value preservation. Now I'm going to ask you a critical question. How many XRP tokens are you currently aiming for in your moonbag to feel truly secure about your financial future? Let me know in the comments below, because I read every single one. As we look toward the future, the valuation mathematics become impossible to ignore. If XRP captures even a small fraction of the global derivatives market, the upward pressure on each individual token will be absolutely immense. At this level, you're building a foundation that doesn't just wait for price action, it prepares you for a complete seismic shift in the global financial system. This visualization breaks down the $100,000 portfolio dream by reaching a $100 XRP price target. A 1000 XRP holding evolves into a six-figure capital base, providing the type of life-changing liquidity that was previously reserved exclusively for the wealthy elite. Securing this milestone requires discipline and consistency, but it's the gateway to the next level of wealth accumulation. The 1000 XRP Club is where your strategy shifts from mere accumulation to the long-term preservation of your financial sovereignty. Before we dream about millions of dollars, we have to confront the cold mathematical reality that could potentially destroy this entire thesis. While it's easy to get swept up in the insider optimism from developers like Bird, a disciplined investor must consider the factors that could prevent XRP from ever reaching triple-digit prices. We have to steelman the bear case. the possibility that global utility never actually matches the online hype and expectations. This comparison chart shows XRP's current market cap versus total global GDP. For XRP to reach $1,000 per token, its market cap would need to exceed the valuation of the world's largest tech giants combined. This is a mathematical hurdle that critics argue is impossible without a complete collapse of the US dollar system. Looking at these figures forces a vital acknowledgement of reality. Crypto assets are inherently volatile and carry significant risk. This video is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes only. You should never invest more money than you can afford to lose completely, as past performance is absolutely not a guarantee of future results. Responsibility for your portfolio starts and ends with your own research. If the utility lag, the time between technical readiness and actual institutional adoption, stretches into decades rather than years, the opportunity cost of holding could be financially disastrous. Even the most bullish insiders acknowledge that institutional analysts have highlighted downside risk scenarios where XRP could see significant retracements if the ledger fails to gain the expected market dominance. Market cap is a psychological barrier that retail investors often ignore, but institutions use it as a primary metric for risk assessment. Critics frequently point out that while the XRP ledger is technically superior to existing systems, the world of finance moves at a glacial pace. There's a genuine chance that legacy systems find ways to modernize without needing a decentralized bridge asset, leaving early adopters waiting indefinitely for a demand spike that never materializes. This visual outlines a bear scenario drawdown. If XRP fails to hold its current support levels during a macroeconomic downturn, we could witness a return to the 50-cent range, testing the resolve of every diamond hand holder currently in the market. If the utility doesn't materialize as predicted, we could be staring at a zombie chain scenario where the technology functions perfectly, but adoption is practically non-existent. Understanding these risks is the only way to build a strategy that survives the long game and protects your capital. It's worth noting here that market cap is almost a pointless metric in crypto, because price dictates market cap, not the other way around. Market cap cannot be used as a barrier to price discovery. Otherwise, you end up with a circular calculation that makes no logical sense. Market cap within the crypto space operates vastly differently than market cap in the traditional stock market. Hit that like button if you're still with me, because we're about to discuss the elite tier that only a tiny percentage will ever reach. Owning 10,000 XRP isn't just a goal, it's membership into a global financial elite that very few will ever attain. This is the specific tier where the mathematics start to look less like a crypto trade and more like a generational estate that you're building for your family. When Bird, the XRP Ledger engineer, spoke about six-figure valuations, he wasn't analyzing the price of a single token. He was examining the cumulative power of a 10,000 XRP stack and what that represents in the new financial system. This wallet distribution pyramid reveals a staggering reality that most people don't understand. Less than 4% of all XRP addresses hold 10,000 tokens or more. By reaching this level, you're positioning yourself among the whales of the future, holding a supply that will become incredibly scarce as institutional custody services begin to lock up the available float. At this level, the price discovery phase of 2026 takes on an entirely new meaning. We aren't just looking for a double or triple of your investment. We're looking for the moment when XRP becomes the primary liquidity bridge for the world's central banks and major financial institutions. For the 10,000 XRP club, a move to $10 represents the first $100,000 milestone, but the insider logic suggests this is only the beginning of the exponential curve ahead. A holding of 10,000 XRP is the mathematical threshold where you stop worrying about the daily price of goods and start focusing exclusively on the preservation and growth of generational wealth. This shift in mindset is what separates the financial elite from the average retail speculator. While others panic sell during a 10% correction, the 10,000 club is analyzing the macro growth of on-demand liquidity corridors. Every time a new bank connects to the XRP Ledger, the velocity of your 10,000 tokens increases, making them more valuable as a settlement tool. This institutional growth chart tracks the expansion of Ripple's ODL partnerships globally. Notice the exponential spike projected for late 2026 as more jurisdictions move from testing phases to full production deployment, directly increasing the demand for the liquidity that your tokens provide. The elite tier isn't just about accumulating money, it's about the leverage you hold over a financial system that's being completely rebuilt from the ground up. You're holding the oil for the new digital economy. As the supply on exchanges continues to dwindle, the value of that oil is destined to skyrocket exponentially. Before we continue, make sure you've smashed that like button, dropped a comment with your XRP goal, and subscribe for more content breaking down the financial revolution happening right now. What if you never had to sell a single XRP to live like royalty? The evolution of the XRP Ledger is moving beyond simple transactions and into a phase where your tokens can actively work for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're witnessing the birth of a truly decentralized banking system where the holders of the asset, not centralized institutions, collect the transaction fees and rewards. This flowchart contrasts the stagnant returns of a traditional bank savings account against the potential yields of XRP lending and AMM participation. As the ledger matures throughout 2026, we see a projected path where providing liquidity to the network generates consistent passive rewards. The introduction of automated market makers and native lending protocols on the XRP Ledger means that your stack, whether it's 500 or 10,000 XRP, can remain securely in your wallet while generating yield in real time. This is the ultimate goal for any wealth building strategy, turning a volatile asset into a cash flowing machine. By locking your tokens into these protocols, you're providing the liquidity that the global financial system desperately needs to function efficiently, and you're being compensated for it in more XRP. XRP Ledger stakeholders are no longer just passive investors, they're becoming the infrastructure, people who want to be their own bank and provide the world's liquidity needs. Understanding these advanced strategies is the difference between operating as an amateur versus a professional in this space. If you want to master the art of risk management, Elliott wave analysis, and how to position your portfolio for these passive income streams, you need to check out Cheeky Crypto School through the link in the description below. Using the link and the code for 50% off will give you the exact tools needed to manage your wealth like the top 1% of traders worldwide. This timeline visualizes the rollout of zero-knowledge proof privacy features and institutional on-chain credit markets scheduled for late 2026. These upgrades are specifically designed to attract the trillion-dollar private banking sector, which requires the exact privacy and efficiency that these new XRP ledger layers provide. The passive income engine is the final piece of the puzzle for those seeking true financial freedom. It removes the stress of timing the absolute top because you're focused on growing your total number of tokens, regardless of daily price action. The most shocking prediction from the XRP Ledger Insider isn't actually a dollar price target. It's the Bitcoin ratio. For years, the crypto market has moved in a follow-the-leader pattern, with XRP and the rest of the altcoin market tethered to Bitcoin's movements. But according to Bird, we're approaching a massive decoupling event where XRP will finally start being valued based on its own utility rather than just following the general market tide. This historical ratio chart illustrates the XRP to BTC relationship. You can see the compression zone where XRP has historically traded at a fraction of a percentage of Bitcoin's value, and the projected breakout point where it begins reclaiming significant ground against the king of crypto. This shift is rooted in the mathematics of scarcity and institutional adoption patterns. As Bitcoin becomes digital gold, purely a store of value, XRP is positioning itself as the digital oil that powers the world's financial movements. Bird's theory suggests a world where 5,000 XRP could eventually equate to the value of a full Bitcoin. This isn't just a moonshot speculation either. It's a technical projection based on the liquidity requirements of the global financial system operating at scale. The real trade isn't XRP to USD anymore, it's the ratio trade. 5,000 tokens at $27 each puts us at a $135,000 Bitcoin equivalent. That's where the real generational wealth is created. I have a question for you. Do you believe XRP can eventually flip the market cap of Ethereum or even Bitcoin, or is its utility destined for a completely different path? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below because I'm genuinely curious about your perspective. Understanding the ratio is the professional level view of this market. While retail investors obsess over the dollar value on their screens, the elite are watching how much total market share XRP is consuming. If the ratio breaks in the way the insider expects, even a modest holding will suddenly command the purchasing power of the largest assets in the entire crypto space. This visual compares the decoupling scenario against traditional crypto correlation patterns. It highlights how XRP's price action could diverge completely from the rest of the market as central banks integrate the ledger for CBDCs, creating a floor price that is independent of Bitcoin's volatility. The final revelation of this cycle isn't that Bitcoin fails, but that XRP matures into a standalone financial utility with its own value proposition. As the correlation breaks, the altcoin label will finally be stripped away completely, leaving only those who held through the suppression period to reap the rewards of a sovereign asset. Smash that like button one more time, drop a comment, and make sure you're subscribed because we're about to wrap this up with the most important information. The truth about XRP isn't about the price displayed on your screen today. It's about who's being systematically priced out of the system before the doors finally close forever. As we've seen from insights provided by insiders like Bird, the technical suppression that has held this asset in a vice grip for nearly 8 years is reaching its natural conclusion. We're moving toward a reality where holding digital assets isn't a hobby or speculation, it's a necessity for anyone wishing to maintain their financial sovereignty in a world of crumbling fiat stability. This visual explains the redundancy strategy for exchange management. By utilizing multiple KYC accounts across several different platforms, you protect your capital from a single point of failure, ensuring your XRP remains accessible even if one provider faces a liquidity crunch or technical outage. My personal view has evolved dramatically from seeing XRP as a simple trade to recognizing it as a systemic replacement for legacy banking infrastructure. The goal isn't just to sell for more dollars eventually, but to transition into an ecosystem where those dollars are no longer the primary measure of value. To protect this transition successfully, you need a strategy that covers every single angle, from the technical mastery found in cheeky crypto school to the real-world whale alerts available in our Discord community. The ultimate objective of the XRP Ledger is to remove reliance on traditional banks altogether, giving the power of settlement back to individual users. As we look toward the horizon, the focus shifts to preservation and the strategic use of multiple exchanges listed on our website. There's a link in the description below. This isn't just about accumulation anymore. It's about the intelligent distribution of your wealth across redundant infrastructure that protects you from any single point of failure. This 2026 to 2030 wealth roadmap projects the path from early retail accumulation to institutional market dominance. It highlights the key milestones where utility-driven demand is expected to absorb the remaining exchange supply, fundamentally altering the valuation of every single token in your wallet. The window to secure your position at these price levels is a historical gift that will not be repeated. We're living through a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to position ourselves before the institutional wave crashes over the market. If you're ready to see how this story plays out for the rest of the market and want to understand the complete picture, you need to watch the video queued up on your screen right now. I'll see you over there, and thanks for watching. Make sure you've liked, commented, and subscribed. Your support means everything, and I'll catch you in the next one. Let's secure this generational wealth together.